How's it going, fellow Detroit Red Wings fans? Today, we're going to talk about my top 5 dark horses heading into next season with the Detroit Red Wings. By dark horses, I mean we don't really know how they're going to perform, whether they're going to break out or just play average, but I think they're due for a breakout year. And this list will go from 5 to 1, 5 being the most likely, 1 being the least likely, or least most up in the air. So without further ado, number 5 is Filip Zadina. Filip Zadina played 59 games for the Grand Rapids Griffins last year, scoring 16 goals, adding 19 assists for a total of 35 points. I think Filip Zadina is definitely due to play in Detroit Red Wings next season. I do think he will, and I think he's going to break out. It's definitely up in the air though, because we don't know if he can transfer his game to the NHL level yet, but I think he will. That's just my personal opinion. But whether or not, it will only come down to if he plays in NHL. If he plays in the NHL, he will definitely have a breakout year, I can tell you that for sure. Whether it will be a lot similar to Andreas Anthony's last season, 50 points, or it will just be a decent amount of goals, a couple assists there, and just basically getting his feet wet into the NHL, I'm not sure. At number 4, we have Filip Hronek. Filip Hronek played 46 games for the Detroit Red Wings last season, scoring 5 goals, adding 18 assists for a total of 23 points, which is half a point per game. Filip Hronek also led all defensemen at the World Championship tournament. So I expect him to break out, not to mention last season was basically his rookie season. He played a little bit over half of the season, so he should definitely be coming close to doubling his point stats. I expect him to be close to 40 to 50 points next season. Number 3 is Joe Hicketts. Joe Hicketts played 64 games for the Grand Rapids Griffins last season, scoring 3 goals, adding 24 assists for a total of 27 points. Joe Hicketts is definitely one of my favorite players just because of his gritty style, especially when he only stands at 5'8", 181 pounds. I do think he's due for a breakout year. Not to mention, if Detroit wants to put him in Grand Rapids, they're going to have to risk him being claimed off waivers, and I do think a team will. Joe Hicketts is a good player. He's not great. He's definitely not what I would say NHL level. Yet, I think he's on the brink. I think he's probably at a 7th D, maybe bottom line defenseman when a couple of players are injured. But I do think he'll make it into the NHL next season, and I think he will have a breakout year. I don't know how big it will be, but I think he'll earn his spot in Detroit. Number 2, Anthony Mantha. Anthony Mantha played 67 games for the Detroit Red Wings last season, scoring 25 goals, adding 23 assists for a total of 48 points. Anthony Mantha definitely was one of our core forward pieces. Definitely a goal scorer, and if he didn't get injured after that fight in the Colorado Avalanche earlier last season, he probably would have passed the 30-goal mark. Mantha had a great last couple games of the season, scoring 12 points in the last 6 games of the season. Not to mention, at World Championships, he continued that pace, scoring 7 goals, adding 7 assists for a total of 14 points in 9 games, with some of the best talent in the world. So I do think Anthony Mantha will have a breakout season. I expect him to definitely pass the 30-goal mark and maybe try to look for the 40-goal mark. I think we'll be seeing Anthony Mantha. The Red Wings selected him in the first round of the 2013 draft. My last and final dark horse is Evgeny Svechnikov. Most people don't like Svechnikov. I thought he was a pretty good prospect. He definitely took a rough year last year when he got injured and was out for the entire season. But I do think Svechnikov is going to have a chip on his shoulder, ready to prove himself that he can make it into the NHL come training camp. But I do not know if he will be on the Red Wings come the start of the season. I think he will be on the Red Wings roster at the end of the season, but I think he'll start the season in Grand Rapids and then break out from there. He'll prove himself, dust off the rust in Grand Rapids, and then he'll make his way to Detroit and show that he's ready for a full-time spot on Detroit's roster. What do you guys think of my list? Do you think there's a different player that will break out next season? Let me know who it is, or if you have players in different spots on your list, let me know down in the comments. Until next time, lights out in the red light district.
Wow, what a move. Slid the ground one. Decides to head for the corner. Delayed penalty call. Possession up for grabs. When it's touched, we'll get the call. The Wings